Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here with Krokar and the Lizardmen, going to be taking on the High Elves. It's actually been quite a while since I've taken Krokar in a battle. I actually can't remember the last time I took him in a battle, so decided to take old Krokar here out for a ride on Grimlock. In terms of the rest of the army composition, we've got a Skink Priest, Lore of Heavens up in the air here. He's carrying Harmonic Convergence, Curse of the Midnight Wind, and Chain Lightning. We've also got a Skink Chief on a Pterodon with 2 Pterodon Riders in Vanguard. Infantry line is going to be 4 Saurus Warriors with shields with 4 Skink Cohort Javelins up front. We've got a Revification Crystal and another Feral Bastiladon for the nice cheap anti-large, or sorry, not anti-large, anti-infantry armor piercing. Also got a unit of Feral Cold Ones just for some additional supplementary armor piercing in the front line. And that's pretty much it for my build. Fairly straightforward Lizardman build, nothing too fancy. Let's go ahead and take a look at the High Elves here. We've got Teclis and Double Noble for a pretty standard kit here. Teclis is carrying Nets of Amatoch and the Flock of Doom there on foot. He's got 2 Nobles on horses. We've got 3 White Lions in the center with 2 Spearmen backed up by 2 Phoenix Guard out on the flanks with 2 Lothern Sea Guard here in the center. Also got some Illyrian Reavers scattered around, 3 in total, 1 on each corner of the map. And that's about it. So let's go ahead and kick the battle into full gear as we watch as things unfold. First things first, we're just going to kind of advance, pull up into range, and let our Skink cohorts unload their javelins into these White Lions and so on. And yeah, should be fairly straightforward. Krokar, you know, he's super good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anti-large armor piercing, plus healing, plus great combat stats, 95 armor, 81 charge bonus. I mean, what's not to love about him? The issue that I find with Krokar is that because he's so good, he's such a common pick that people are often game planning for him. So you're going to run into things like this Net and Double Noble, which can potentially be very dangerous to Krokar if he gets caught out in the wrong situation. So that's why I don't bring him too often. I also like to feature, for the Lizardmen, since they're such a good faction, I like to feature some of their other lords, you know, like the generic Slawns and so on. So, yeah, you can see we pulled up into range, going to be unloading those javelins, and although they don't do armor piercing, they are going to do quite a bit of HP damage here and apply some nice poison effects. I had feinted in with Krokar to try and draw these Phoenix Guard out a little bit, which we have done. They're going to take a little bit of that Skink Javelin fire as well. And then once we've expended most of our ammunition, we're going to start just pushing forward with the Saurus and with the other armor-piercing units and so on. So we'll grab some cinematic action as the main line engagement gets underway here. You can see a few stray javelins still flying in here, hitting those White Lions. But here comes the pain train. You can see Feral Cold One's actually going to be leading the charge here, acting as a little bit of a line breaker, and then the Saurus now following up. Likewise, the same thing with Gary, the old Bastiladon here, with the Revification Crystal. He's going to be getting in here and kind of being a bit of a line breaker. We've done a Curse of the Midnight Wind in this entire pocket, debuffing the armor of these White Lions down to 60, which means Saurus Warriors will trade very cost effectively against them. Also debuffs their melee attack down to only 13, so they won't be making too solid of contact. Meanwhile, Krokar's dived in over on this other side. However, it's going to be a little bit dangerous. There are some Phoenix Guard here and the Double Nobles also chasing him down. And another dive takes him even further into my opponent's formation. And now Teclis is going to drop that net. So very nice play for my opponent. He's going to be able to pin Krokar down here and get on him with the Double Noble. That being said, we've broken through fairly effectively in the center. You can see those White Lions being routed off in pretty much all respects. You guys know I'm not the biggest fans of White Lions, and this is one of the big reasons why. We did a nice rock drop there, just massacred those Lothern Sea Guard, and now this other unit is being pushed off by Saurus Warriors and so on. That being said, the bounce power is still pretty close. Krokar's taking a lot of damage. You can see he's down to below half health already. Dropped a Chain Lightning right here in this pocket to get on some of these Phoenix Guard, which it has. It's going to be sitting on top of quite a few of them. Did quite a bit of damage there. Pretty good so far. 17 kills, 18 kills, all on mostly Phoenix Guard there. We're going to be using these Pterodon Riders to screen out these Nobles, just because Krokar's in such a desperate situation here. You can see Teclis getting munched on by these Feral Cold Ones here. He's trying to get away. Not too happy about the situation. They're enraged. They're chewing on him. But yeah, now my opponent's going to be using the Illyrian Reavers to kind of pin in Krokar. Another net of Ammontok being dropped as well, so this Noble you can see is pushing very aggressively through, trying to get to Krokar, who's currently pinned down, whereas the other Noble is just being circle beaten by Pterodons. We've got the Feral Cold Ones in here. All that jazz, just doing a ton of damage. Teclis is taking a ton of damage too. He's down to, you know, less than half health. He does have that Potion of Troy giving him healing and damage resistance, so he should be able to regenerate some of that damage back. But keep in mind that that does give increased ability to all his spells, so they take longer to cast. Saurus on this side, you know, fighting admirably, holding off those Illyrian Reavers. The Feral Bastildon, unfortunately, is about to rout off. It's done a little bit of damage, not the most, but it's mostly just here to tie up this unit of Phoenix Guard and do what damage it can. Gary, the Revivification Crystal, being very key here, dropping those heals on Krokar. We've got a few charges of Cold-Blooded as well. So although Krokar's taken plenty of damage, we should be able to get him back up to his healing cap without too much issue here. Again, just bringing in the Pterodon Riders to interrupt these Illyrian Reavers and allow Krokar to get out of the chicken coop a little bit here. Now we're dropping that Cold-Blooded on him to give him that nice healing proc. And yeah, you can see he's running away. Another Noble and another net, though. Going to be dropping in on here. We've got the Saurus to support, though. They're going to be coming in here and trying to get some attacks on the Noble and just interrupt him a little bit here as well. He's also dropped the... yeah, the Cold Blood is going to be debuffing Krokar's melee stats, unfortunately, but we're going to be dropping more healing on him in just a moment here to try and keep him in the fight. A lot of my infantry's been routed off, though. You can see only a few skink cohorts and Saurus warriors fighting in various pockets. We've still got Gary online with about half HP as well, so all good there. Krokar's continuing to receive that healing. You can see the Revivification Crystal proc going off now, and we're just kind of alpha striking this Noble down. This one was relatively healthy, but now with the rear charges and the Saurus in there supporting, we're able to turn Krokar around and start to get some heavy damage done against this Noble here. Isolated without the other Noble and without too many supporting units nearby, he is going to start to take a lot of damage, especially with that Harmonic Convergence now being popped there, just juicing up Krokar's combat stats. So 78 attack, 67 defense. Yeah, you can see that Noble's now terrified and going to be probably killed in the next swipe. Yep, he does go down. So one Noble down. You can see that's tilted the balance power finally pretty decisively in my favor. Despite all that, though, I mean, there's still a lot of Illyrian Reavers around. Gary's still, unfortunately, fighting Phoenix Guard right now, which is not where he wants to be whatsoever, given that old tail whip to him. But, yeah, we do have still a couple units of Saurus fighting in the pits. This one's about to rout off. They're facing pretty overwhelming odds. This one over on the side, though, is fighting pretty well. They're up against Spearmen, so they've been able to trade decently there. But, yeah, so far so good. Again, just interrupting the Phoenix Guard, trying to spring Gary loose. We're using these Pterodon Riders a little bit more in melee than I'm comfortable with, but so far so good. They've been able to really do their jobs and help screen things out here. You can see the balance power was tipping back in High Elf's favor, but now that we've sprung Gary loose, it's back in our favor, the Lizardmen, and now we're going to do a little bit of a Monster Mash kind of alpha strike to try and take this relatively healthy unit of Phoenix Guard off the field. You can see the Pterodon Riders, Gary, and Krokar all working together to try and take these Phoenix Guard down. Unfortunately, Gary is going to get routed off there, and another net on Krokar means that he's not going to be able to pull away like I wanted to and get another cycle charge in, so we are going to have to bring the Pterodon Riders around for another charge here to try and break these Phoenix Guard. You can see Krokar is broken there, down to only 400 hit points. All of a sudden, the balance power is sliding back in the High Elf's favor, and it's getting super close here. We've got Net of Ammontok and Cold-Blooded both on him. He's pinned in place, but he is regenerating. We should be able to bring Gary back from routing relatively shortly and get another proc of the Revivification Crystal to bring Krokar up to his healing cap. But at this point, unfortunately, Spearmen being terrified away, the Lothern Sea Guard not quite able to hold on here. The Noble's coming. He's coming to hunt down Krokar, but then decides to rout at the last second as Krokar just barely comes back from routing. So now we've got that Revivification and Cold-Blooded just bringing him to maximum healing. He's going to get up to his healing cap, and you can see as that healing ticks, balance power is going to tick more and more in my favor. So now at this point, we're just going to run away with Krokar. No reason to take that infantry engagement, and since my opponent doesn't have any skirmishers left, his Lothern Sea Guard are all out of ammo, the ones that remain here. We're going to fly over and just start poking Teclis with the Pterodon Riders, try and take him off the battlefield here. You can see they are doing quite a bit of damage, so Teclis on foot. Fortunately, he doesn't have the speed to avoid the missiles. He's just going to have to take it to the face, and once he takes enough damage, that should trigger army losses for the... oh, here comes Gary. Gary bringing in the pain train. And, yeah, relatively shortly now, we're going to be triggering the army losses for the High Elves. And, yeah, victory, very pitched victory for the Lizardmen. Ended up being very close, but well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. It's one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of Krokar, is because people prepare so heavily against him. It can be very micro-intensive to try and keep him alive. Especially because I had a little bit of a blunder in that first part of the battle, kind of blundering into the lines and getting netted, and then taking a ton of damage from the two nobles working in tandem. Then in the later part of the battle, we were able to isolate the nobles separately and take them out one by one, which is very powerful. And that's kind of the nice thing about Krokar, is compared to somebody like Kolek or something. If you were to make that mistake with Kolek, you probably would lose the battle. But with Krokar, you still have that healing to bring him back, keep him fighting, and yeah, it turned out pretty well. For the rest of my army, Pterodon Riders actually did pretty decently in their kind of screening of these Illyrian Reavers, helping Krokar get out of those unfavorable situations. Saurus Warriors in the center performed very well, 59, 62, 59, and 92, so very nice kills all the way across the board there. This King cohort with Javelin managed to pick up an XP Chevron, 66 kills, pretty impressive. Feral Cold Ones, for only 450 points, I feel like these guys did their job. They helped break through the front line, did quite a bit of damage to Teclis and so on. Feral was still out, again, only 700 points, so any kills this thing does get is pretty good. The Revivification Crystal is more meant for healing than in melee, so it did its job in helping keep Krokar alive. For my opponent's build, the Illyrian Reavers plus the Nobles was almost enough to take down Krokar. If that would have been the case, and he still had some of these White Lions and so on left, then he probably could have won the infantry fight. So I definitely like this build quite a bit. I might fine-tune things a little bit here, probably cut the White Lions down to just regular Spearmen, and then invest that gold in upgrading maybe one of these Illyrian Reavers to a heavier cav, like a Dragon Prince or something. But overall, I like this build quite a bit. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.